Hey there, Cliff Morgan here, leadership expert and organisational psychologist. They're just not ready yet. Have you ever thought that about your team? You know, it's a statement that I hear regularly when I am working with business leaders and executives. In fact, I heard it just last week in the middle of a coaching session with someone that I'll call Jackson. Now, Jackson is the founder of a global retail company. And over the past couple of months, we've been working together to see how he might release himself from the day-to-day operations of his various teams. You know, his aim is to be less hands-on so that he can provide a little bit more strategic direction, some creative input, those things that are his strengths, that he loves, the things that only he can do. And while making a couple of strategic hires has really helped Jackson, he and I worked together and we realized that the real solution here was in developing the collective capability of his teams. And the plan that he came up with was a combination of both training and coaching, of imparting and passing on his experience and his knowledge, while also you're getting them to solve their own problems through a process where he might prompt them, but they own it. It's a great approach. It's one I've advocated for years, but it doesn't happen overnight. Now, recently there was a challenge. It came as there was a change in one part of the business that required a change in another part of the business. And they needed a solution, and they needed it quick. So Jackson, the founder of the company, he dived in and came to the rescue. He developed and built the solution for his team. Now, when I challenged him on why he didn't let his team develop the solution, his response, they're just not ready yet. You know, it can be easy to sit back and say that Jackson had made a mistake, that he was reverting to the very behavior that he was trying to shift. He was perpetuating this cycle of reliance on him and not letting his team learn and grow. Don't jump to conclusions. Maybe his team really weren't ready. You know, Jackson, he's a smart guy. He hasn't taken his company global by misjudging people and the ability of his teams. What we can say is two things. Now, what Jackson did, getting hands-on, well, it provided the solution that the company needed in the time frame that it needed it. The second thing we can also say is that his actions were not aligned with his long-term goals. And that's a trade-off, right? Leadership is always about making trade-offs, getting the short-term win, sometimes at the expense of a potential long-term benefit. In this case, Jackson has made the trade prioritizing the quick solution to keep things moving for the business. Now, that's a choice. It makes complete sense. The logic is sound, and really, it's a valid call. My challenge to Jackson was this. Given that your choice was inconsistent with your long-term goals of building team capability, what can you do now to leverage this situation to develop your team's long-term capability? So when we're equipping leaders with coaching skills, there are two maxims that I always reinforce. The first one is this, and that is coaching skills will enhance everything you do. The second is that coaching skills can turn anything that you do into a development opportunity. So for Jackson, he's just built a solution for his team. He chose speed of delivery, and in doing so, he hadn't taken his time to sit with the team, to help them wrestle and deal with the problem, to navigate the complexity of considerations that were there. He hadn't used the situation to build his team's capacity. But if we believe that coaching skills can turn anything that you do, any situation, into a development opportunity, the focus shifts on not what he's done, but how do we now turn this missed opportunity into a current one? See, Jackson now has an opportunity to sit down with his team and to debrief them, to teach them what he did. So we devised a plan for him to use coaching skills asking questions based around the grow model. There were questions like, well, what was the goal? What was the outcome the solution was required to achieve? When we think about the reality, the current reality, the situation and context that we were facing, what were the major considerations and constraints the solution had to take into account? Let the team wrestle with that. We look at the options. Well, what could we have done? What were the options? What were the potential solutions that were there? And then the way forward, which is the best option? What could we do, right? What did we decide to do? But also in this reflective debrief type moment, what did we learn through that process? What would we do next time? And by asking the team to consider what he was thinking as he built the solution, what questions he was asking at each point of the solution development process, he is effectively training them how to think like him. He's equipping them to develop future solutions. And by coaching his team after the fact, well, Jackson has turned a solo performance into a collective development opportunity. So my question is, what about you? What are you wanting to extract yourself from with your team and their work? Are you wanting to step away and be a little bit more strategic? And are you finding that your team is just not ready yet? Well, I'd invite you to consider where you might coach them. It might be something that you've done recently, just as Jackson had. Coach them after the process. It might be a process you're currently in the middle of undertaking. It might be an upcoming decision that you have to make. But if you're thinking, Cliff, this sounds great, I'd love to coach, I just don't know how, well, let me share two options with you to explore. The first is to read. A couple of years ago, I wrote a book called The Coaching Leader. And it's all about coaching skills and how you can use them to enhance your leadership and to develop your people day to day, on the job, not taking them offline to do that, right? So The Coaching Leader, the link is in the email that you had that gave you this particular video. You can go to cliffordmorgan.com and you follow the bouncing ball to find the book there. The second thing is come, right? So the first is read, the second is come. Come along to our Coaching Leader One Day Masterclass. It's a fun day where we teach you the skills that you need to turn anything you do into a learning and development process for your team. Also while on the job, as you lead day to day, all right? Now the next one is not until June, but here's the thing, you need to get in early because these sessions always sell out. All right, so again, there's a link in the email if you wanted to explore that. Now here's your takeaway action. I'd love for you to pick something that you've done recently. Teach the process and what you did to your team. Use questions so that they understand how you were thinking and why you did what you did. Until next time, lead well.